always loved swimming. We had a pool, and he was in that early on, and he was just always in the water all the time. He used to love to climb. He'd climb poles, climb everything, you know, typical boy. He always loved music as well. So when he got in middle school, of course, started a band. He initially wanted to play guitar, took guitar lessons, but decided that wasn't really for him, so then he went into drum lessons, and of course that was his thing.
You know, Ian did a lot of different activities. He played some soccer, but baseball was really something he had excelled at. You know, we'd go up to the field there at Dr. Phillips Elementary and would talk to him really about competition and how, as he is going to be playing a sport, whether he's in school, whether it's a job situation, but you know, you're always going to come across someone, especially in sports, that's going to be, no matter how good you are, there's someone that's a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, that, you know, you've got to figure out a way. I mean, it's up to you. At that point, it's you and that person. It's really competition that you've got to, you know, figure out a way, and you just compete. And, you know, you may end up getting beat, but, you know, you're going to give it all you've got. And at the end of the day, that person knows that they've had their hands full.
So his freshman year, his dad really wanted him to try out for DP baseball, so he did, but he didn't make it. And he'd already taken swimming, you know, just the first semester, and waiting for baseball. So then he came home that night and called Leo and said, I'm in, I'm going to play water polo.
It was a challenge. Again, it was an unexpected sport because he was cut from the baseball team and he wanted to play a sport because he had swam with all those guys in the fall. He had made some, you know, pretty good friendships, and they had encouraged him to come out. So, but he didn't know the rules, didn't know anything about the sport. So he was really starting from you know, as low as you can start as a total novice.
My first reaction was that he definitely had something going for him. Right away, he stood out from the new players. Being brand new to swimming that year already, he already had made a big splash in the pool in swimming. Just by watching him play and pick up things so quickly, always asking questions, trying to get better.
To see in such a short period of time to how he progressed and became such an amazing player in that short amount of time, it's a real testament to him and his, you know, staying with it and pursuing something that he really enjoyed.
Kids don't usually like to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to practice, but you know, he'd hop right out of bed and get in the car, I'd drop him off. He was always very excited to go to practice.
I think at an early age, Ian showed a lot of signs of maturity right off the bat. I think he had a sense of magnetism to him, very charismatic, very positive, very strong from a leadership standpoint. From a physical standpoint, I mean, you knew that he had the ability to play the game and learn it very quickly. Ian never stopped learning. He wanted to get better, continually to get better. I think his composure was one of his strongest characteristics. He was the guy that everybody was drawn to.
He just had a natural instinct of, you know, being a leader. He just had leadership qualities that it's something you just, I think some people have.
You know, even people that he played against would come up and hug him after the game. You know, he would kick the crap out of him in the pool, and he was getting, you know, hugged after a game. It was just the way he was.
The day he was diagnosed, the doctor came in and said, you know, he had cancer. He sat right up. I mean, we were all stunned, of course, and then he sat up and said, can I still play water polo? That was his first question.
Ian Supra got into the Hall of Fame because everything that he did, whether it was academics, whether it was socially, whether it was athletically, in the community, he was a good person to everybody. I mean, you're talking about a young man that everybody loved and everybody respected. Athletically, yeah, he gets in without a doubt, but it was the entire package that just made him the picture-perfect person that you want representing your school forever. What people remember is the type of person that you were. They remember your character. Statistics, those fade away from memory, but character lasts forever. And I think if you can take anything from Ian Supra, it's that you know that everybody will remember what a great person he was. And ultimately, that's how you want to be remembered. That's how you want to be recalled, for your character, not for what you did, but for what you were.
I first found out about Ian's diagnosis 2 days after he actually found out. He found out on a Wednesday in January, and I know he told his water polo teammates first. But then he went to school for 2 days. He went to school for 2 days without telling anyone. And I still can't believe that to this day, because in those 2 days he acted like nothing was wrong. And really his whole life was on the line, and he knew that.
His diagnosis was so incredibly rare. You know, his diagnosis is usually an older man, obese, alcoholic, smoker type disease, and so for an 18-year-old athletic child to come down with that is just unheard of, and you know, everybody's asked why a million times.
The reaction from the school after Ian was diagnosed was incredible. I think that's kind of what made his story so amazing.
The huge support was pretty mind-boggling. You know, the kids, his closest friends would skip school every time he had a chemotherapy treatment, and they'd all, rally around him and stay there and be with him, because it was several hours. But anyway, it was that, kind of camaraderie, just the support of everybody. He was just that guy everybody loved, I guess.
Ian lived his life happily, man. No other way to put it. He was a happy guy. He'd been going through some of the toughest stuff that anyone has to go through in their life, and he'd always do it with a smile on his face. I remember him walking through these halls, and whenever I'd see him, he'd be smiling. And people would say that about him, he'd walk through these halls when he could go to school, no matter what, he'd be smiling, talking to someone. And that's just the person he was. He brought great energy into any room he walked in.
Number 13, Ian Supra. I can hold her hand and be close to her.
When we were at the hospital, just how he interacted with, the nurses, some of the other patients that were there. He was always the one, giving them high fives and encouraging them, even as he was going through, some of the devastating effects dealing with chemotherapy. But he was, in many ways, a cheerleader for many of the other patients that would be there. He always gave the impression, I got this. It was just he was just a vision of strength, and he still had his dreams and aspirations, and he was able to kind of transfer that to others as well. It was really quite remarkable.
And he just wanted to help any way he could.
Hi, my name is Saoirse McNamara, and I'm a junior at Lake Brantley High School. My freshman year, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I just started playing water polo at that time. And that's kind of when Ian introduced himself to me to let me know that he was kind of going through the same thing, and that he also played water polo as well. Later on, we kind of would just talk whenever we had problems, and he really was my idol. Like, he was so strong, and he never let anything put him down. He was constantly in the water playing, and he would do anything that he could to just, get it off his mind.
Hi, I'm Daniela. I knew Ian when I was in 6th grade, so with his passing, it's impacted me on what I'm going to do with my career. I'm hopefully going into med school and cancer research for him, and because he made that huge impact in my life.
Heard about his story and was able to come out to Florida to do a charity swim through Swim Across America. And I did it in honor of Ian. I hadn't met him yet, but right after the swim, I drove up here and was able to spend some time with him, got in the pool and played with him. So despite the fact that he was battling cancer, he still was dominating in the water and just got to experience his spirit. He was a very special person, and the more I got to know him and his friends, I really realized how special he was, the community was, and that I just was glad to be a part of something bigger than myself, than any of us really know, and that's what life's really all about.
But with the person he was, every day I try to make him proud.
Of course, his goal was to help other kids with cancer, and so that's why we developed his foundation.
Now as I look back on my life, I realize that everything I've ever done and everyone I've ever met, all was for a reason. I am just now learning why certain things have happened, like why I have cancer. I, Ian Supra, have cancer so I can inspire others going through the same thing, or just any obstacle in general, so that they know they are not alone, and there's someone out there rooting for them. I've learned that you must live your life full of love and no regrets. Life is too short to worry.